YouTube, what is up? Yeah, I probably should have gotten these a couple of weeks ago. However, the store that I typically get my Marvel Legends from got them in about 4 days ago. So, yeah, we ended up getting the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave before we picked up the Zemnu wave. And yeah, so here we have it, man. I was really looking forward to these figures, and I think it's like just super awesome. And it says super right there on the figure. Yeah, that was not planned at all. Super awesome that we got a whole supervillains wave. I don't recall us ever getting something like that. I could be dead ass wrong. Excuse my language, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, we are gonna be diving into this. Um, yeah, I couldn't even tell you what figure like I was looking forward to having the most, and like I want to lean towards Lady Deathstrike. You know, the hood looks kind of cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like eh. But it's a cool character. Arcade, like as simple as that figure is a pretty dope X-Men villain. And then if we go dive back, like come on, Dormammu, like that's pretty awesome. You know, the Doom, like wow, like I don't know, man. But we are gonna start with these two figures. We're gonna start with the AIM scientist and the Red Skull, and like check this Red Skull out. Like I think this is pretty good. It's a very uh classic look to the Red Skull. And I think the only thing better would have been his German uniform. And yeah, cuz this is more of like him when he was with Hydra than when he was working with Germany. I can't recall what exactly they called him, but this is a classic Red Skull looking figure. And it says here, let's make sure we bring that in just a little bit. Emerging from the ashes of World War II, John Schmidt rose to become one of Captain America's greatest enemies, the Red Skull. And we're going to talk about the Red Skull just a little bit. And we're going to talk about this guy, the AIM Scientist Supreme. Really decent looking figure. Let's see. AIM Scientist Supreme. Brilliant and diabolical, the Scientist Supreme hails a massive criminal cabal known as Advanced Idea Mechanics. And we all know that that's AIM. Yeah, man. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I like the idea of it, but man, I can't wait to get these out of the box, man. So let's go ahead. We're gonna pause this, crack these things open, and no, we're not. Let's talk about the Red Skull first. You know, I get a lot of flack for talking about my figures and talking about them, and they're like, "Oh, we just want to see the damn video of the figures, and that's it." You know, like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I want to talk about them for those people who don't know who these characters are. You know, you got certain people that collect, you know, MCU figures. Me, I'm all about the comic book figures, and I'm sorry. And I love the history behind, you know, these characters and their first appearances, and you know, like, do we all know that there's more than one person who was the AIM Scientist Supreme, and not all of them were male? Like, do you guys really know that? No, not really. And you know, and I'm not saying I didn't have to go back and brush up on a few things that I knew, but easily forgotten. Like going back and doing research on the Red Skull, like that's actually a mask, and that the Red Skull first wore until he got into. We'll get into that. So anyway, Red Skull, and as we read on the back, this is Johann Schmidt. First appearance would have been Captain America Comics #1, and that came out in March of 1941, created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Originally, Red Skull was portrayed as a Nazi agent and a protege of Adolf Hitler during World War II. They kind of touch bases upon, World War II and whatnot, but they didn't say anything about, Hitler. I don't know why not, but, whatever. And he wore a Red Skull mask that symbolizes blood and death to intimidate Hitler's subordinates and enemies. He later had a horrific, disfigurement in a fight with Captain America. So initially it was a mask, and then Captain America whipped him ugly, if you know what I'm saying. So some of his affiliations would include Hydra, Exiles, Ultimatum, and Skeleton Crew. Some of the guys that he gets along with, mostly Arnim Zola and Crossbones. He's a genius, has genius level intellect, scientist, and he's genius. Has genius level intellect, and he's a genius level scientist. That's what I should have said. He's an expert tactician, strategist, and field commander, skilled in hand-to-hand combat, marksman. You know what? And he inhabits a clone body of Captain America that grants him, peak human strength, speed, stamina. He has telepathy that's like strong enough to reach out and manipulate people, with his thought, and it's crazy. And he can astral project. I don't know how the hell that helps him, but yeah, Captain America always has his hands full when it comes to the Red Skull. And some of these things that we talked about as far as his like abilities, we don't really see it at the forefront. We just see him as a bad guy with a gun. Like I just watched a video that showed a scene of Captain America and Red Skull, and I want to say it's a Captain America movie that came out in the 90s, like 93. And Red Skull, man, he looked weird as hell. It was pretty trippy. But that's neither here nor there. And then we have the A.I.M Scientist Supreme. Yeah. Don't know what to really think about this figure. It looks cool. A lot of people probably don't even know that the A.I.M Scientist Supreme is like the leader of the A.I.M scientist, and just A.I.M overall, right? And it's a name that's been used by many different characters, and it's more of a mantle. But the first A.I.M Scientist Supreme would have been Lao Getz. Yeah, so he's the one that had that first that he was the first one to carry that moniker, if you will. Yeah, and he pretty much spearheaded and supervised the experiment of MODOK, and he was actually killed by MODOK, and he was the A.I.M Scientist Supreme mantle was created by Stan Lee, Captain America. Stan Lee, sorry, that would have been in Captain America 133 in 1971. And then the second one would have been Victor Conrad, who succeeded in duplicating the super soldier serum. So that same serum that created Captain America, amongst many others. Yeah, so he pretty much recreated it, drank the serum, and then he became like a physically perfect human being. And then he renamed himself Victorious, like Victor Conrad Victorious, like kind of cool, I guess, or lame if you really ask, if you really want to know. And then the third AIM Scientist Supreme was George Clinton, and then he provided the Red Skull, Arnim Zola, and Hate Monger with like this restored cosmic cube. But I think something went wrong with it, and I think it actually messed him up. But yeah, that's just a three out of many. So yeah, let's go ahead. 10 minutes in. Yeah, you guys hate me talking. Too bad. Sorry. This is what I do. I hope you guys continue to like the channel and subscribe. But this is what I do, and this is like the information that I like to give to you guys. And I'm not saying that nobody does it. People do it. They tend to broad brush things. But I like to go in depth with these characters. That way you guys get a better feel for them, and maybe you guys feel better connected. And then, just like I was saying, like, oh, where the hell do we put the AIM Scientist Supreme? Obviously with AIM, right? It's on the box. Red Skull, yeah, we know that he's a part of Hydra, but how many of us actually knew that, he was part of Exiles or Ultimatum, Skeleton Crew? So it is what it is. Let's pause this, crack these open, and go from there. All right, so here we have the two out of package, and I gotta say, man, like, even though the AIM Scientist Supreme has a lot of reuse parts, like, it still works enough to where, it's not gonna, like, be bland on your shelf, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's like a whatever figure. I think it's gonna stand out, especially if you have, a group of, you know, AIM soldiers or other AIM beehive headed scientists. But the Red Skull's awesome, man. I gotta say, man, it's a really dope figure. And it's kind of one of those things where you look at the body and it's kind of like maybe it doesn't do anything for you, but once you start playing with the figure, like it's actually pretty dope. He did come with the secondary head, kind of grimacing there, but man, it's an awesome looking head, and hopefully the light does that some justice and doesn't cover up too much of the shading that's in the face, because this is a really good looking figure. So we got that head with him. We got a gun that we've seen before, right? And possibly in a different color, but this has like that Hydra emblem on it. I probably would have preferred for him to come with something, different, but at the same time, it works. It's all good, man. We got plenty of guns. The hands that he came with, you know, pretty cool. We got two open hands, two fisted hands, and then we got the two trigger fingered hands and the cosmic cube that he came with, and that fits like beautifully in this hand, and he will not drop this thing. So we've seen that cosmic cube a couple of times. Let me think about this. He came with Zemnu's head, and the shading on this thing is awesome, man. They did a really good job. And if you guys watch like some of my other videos, especially the last couple, man, I got so many complaints that like I start geeking out over stuff off camera, and I'm trying to be mindful of that. So hopefully you guys bear with me as we continue to grow this channel, man. And like I said, like I got complaints about my setup, and they're like, "Oh, your channel would be so big if this, and that." And like, I trust me, man. I understand and I get it, you know. And I probably kind of did things backwards when it comes to this channel, or maybe if I would have done things a little bit different, the channel probably would be a lot bigger. But you know, when people leave comments like that, it doesn't get me mad, or I don't get angry. You know, I had somebody told me like F your review on something, and I'm like, okay, you're entitled to your opinion, and F your opinion, but I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good, and you know, that type of stuff doesn't make me mad. Like, you know, for what? Like, it's cool, even if it's criticism, constructive criticism. Right arm to Zemnu. It's all good, man. And here we have the A.I.M Scientist Supreme, and I'm not gonna go off camera and geek out again. And this is a decent looking figure, and he just came with this thingamabobber thingamajig here. It's kind of like, just like, you know, maybe something that, you know, he sends, you know, swipes left on, and never mind. But it's cool, and it fits in his hand. And I'm going over him first, and even though we talked about the Red Skull first, you know, and it just kind of goes into his hand and whatever, and he can look up whatever the hell he's wants to buy off eBay or whatever. But you guys get the gist of it, right? But as far as articulation on this guy, you know, he's got pretty typical articulation, except for in the waist. Normally, when you see this, what is that? That diaphragm joint there, you're not gonna get any swivel at the waist. So yeah, but for what it is, it's really good, man. And bunch of reused parts. We know we've seen this on Taskmaster. We've seen this on Night Thrasher. We've seen it on the Hydra Cap. So we've seen a lot of these pieces. You know, those shoulder pads, not so much. But it comes together to form a new figure. And you get that out of here. You know what I mean? It's not something we're like, oh, this is stupid. And like, why would they give us this? It's actually not stupid. And it's kind of cool. So really good looking. No complaints, man. Not at all. Not out of me anyway. And we're gonna dive back into him a little bit later. We're gonna pull out some Hydra soldiers and some A.I.M soldiers. So let's get him standing there. And then this guy, man, oh man, oh man. Like, this is a really, really good looking figure. That shading in both skulls actually is really good. And this is something we don't really see too often. Like, we've been seeing that. Like, I don't know if you can see down here. Maybe if I do that joint, take that off, and you can see how this rotates. Like, that's pretty good. Just gives him, you know, some extra head movement. But all in all, man, this is a really good figure. And as plain as it is, man, it's pretty good. I wouldn't sleep on this one. What is that? Looks like mine rubbed a little bit. So you might want to be careful. With yours, I don't really care. I pose mine, and I don't really do a good job of posing them, but I put them up on shelves. Let's see that. See if we can zoom in on that just a little bit. Looks pretty good. The green hands are cool. I guess I get it, but not really. Trying to think about the cartoons and the comic book, and I'm just drawing a blank right now. But we did get penless technology throughout here. Kind of looks weird, but it works. Is there a boot swivel? Well, yeah. So this is a really good looking figure, man. Let's go ahead and put this head on. Yeah, this dude looks really menacing with that second head on. That's a really good look. Come on. Hate the fact that my lights kind of bleed out the colors, and they kind of doesn't look how it looks to the naked eye. But yeah, man, this is really good. Come on, focus. There we go. It's a really good looking figure. I think a lot of people are gonna like him. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff with this figure. And here he is with his gun there, and the hinges on the wrist go up and down on the trigger fingers. So it's a pretty good look when you have him holding the gun straight across. It looks pretty good. Like, it doesn't look weird. And what I mean by weird, if you guys know about the older Phantom X figure, like the way that guy held the guns looks really stupid as hell. But yeah, good looking figure. Switch out one of the hands, and you can obviously put the gun in the opposite hand with the trigger finger. And he's got an awesome grip on that cosmic cube there. So overall, man, I'm pleased with both of the figures. I don't think there's a comparison if you try to compare these two figures and say, oh, which one's better. It's obvious that Red Skull's the better figure. However, I think they did us some justice by giving us this A.I.M Scientist Supreme, and we have the perfect place to put him on the shelf with MODOK and the other A.I.M scientists. In fact, we're gonna pause this. We're gonna set some stuff up. We're gonna show you some swaps with the Red Skull mostly. I don't really think there's anything we can do as far as the A.I.M scientist is concerned. Yeah, I can't think of nothing. And if you guys can, feel free to let me know, and maybe I'll do a short video and show you guys some stuff that you guys want to see. All right, so here we have them stacked up with some of their affiliates. Yeah, man, they look good together, man. And I think you guys are going to be pretty pleased with the way they stack up with each other. These ones are from the A.I.M 2-pack. This is the original version. And you can tell that he has yellow gloves. And the 2-pack version comes with the black gloves and the black visor, as opposed to this one with the silver. This MODOK is amazing, man. It's awesome. So I think this thing comes at a perfect time. Especially if you have the MODOK, you're going to want this guy. Is there a need to army build this person? No. Not really. Actually, not at all, because at any given time, there's only one A.I.M Scientist Supreme who's the leader of A.I.M, and he's like the only one. So even though there's different people and different characters that took that mantle, there's always only one. Red Skull, really dope, man, and he stacks up nicely. The greens, they match up slightly. I think this is just the soldiers are just slightly darker green, but as far as using their bodies, like I put the second head on, or this is the first head, and it sits a little low. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and switch this head with this one and see maybe if it's a better look. And I'm not too sure. It still sits a little low. And let me show you guys that. It still sits a little low. And let me make sure we get this on camera. And it doesn't look too pleasing to the eye. However, you can kind of shimmy it on there just a little, and it's gonna look a little more natural. Hopefully you guys can see that. And it's not a bad look for Red Skull in a Hydra soldier uniform. I don't know. I've been using one of my Red Skull secondary heads, like that for quite some time, because we didn't have an official Red Skull. But yeah, now that we do, I don't have to do that anymore. Just, pretty much as a placeholder. But man, these figures, they're really dope, and I have no complaints about them at all. One thing I did want to show was, where the hell is he? Okay. So in case if you guys have, like, let's say the Iron Skull, you can pop this head off, switch it with one of these, and it should, yeah, there it is again. It sits low, but it's not a bad look at all, as opposed to the other head that we got with him. They're kind of the same, but not really. But yeah, it's gonna sit low on the peg there, and maybe it's just the neck, but it's not a bad look. What else can we show? Yeah, I'm not too sure. But anyway, I think that's gonna do it, man. This video is running long, and that's just pretty typical of my videos. Appreciate you guys watching all the way to this point. Please like, subscribe, and as always, Hell Hydra.